Welcome back to another episode of Sports-Fixx. I'm your host, Carson Becker. We are back talking about another week of college football here. We're down to the Final Four in college football. Playoffs are almost done here. We got two more games coming up tonight and then tomorrow, one game each. So should hopefully have some good games here. I'm expecting a couple good games. We also have NFL playoffs coming up this weekend as well. So I'll talk about all that in this episode here. So let's get straight into it. First, talk about all the matchups. Fiesta Bowl, Ole Miss versus Miami, two teams going head-to-head here. Both teams coming off big wins. Teams that probably weren't expected to win those games. Miami beating Ohio State, Ole Miss beating Georgia. And so they now meet. Miami's defense, obviously, big point of emphasis on their defense in that game against Ohio State, going up 14 points, the pick six, really set them up in a good spot there, and then they kind of just rode that to the end of the game. Offense really didn't do much, which scares me a little bit against an Ole Miss team that just put up 30-plus points against Georgia in a great game, and also the fact that Trinidad had one of the best games he's had all season. So, coming off that, riding high, Ole Miss looking very good. Miami also looking pretty good. I'm going to take Ole Miss in this one, but it should be a very good one, right? Miami favored by 3 in this one, over-under set at 52.5, and I think it should be a really good game. I like Trinidad playing really well again, and the big thing Miami did early in that game against Ohio State is they put a lot of pressure on Julian Sayin, and it kind of rattled him. He didn't really want to run the ball when he had the opportunity. Trinidad, we saw in that Georgia game, he was not afraid to run 20 yards backwards and then go and make a play and get a first down. So I think that's a big difference in this one. So I'm going to take Ole Miss in this one. Should be a great game, though. Now, the other college football game is the Peach Bowl, Oregon versus Indiana. Should also be a great game. They played earlier in the year in Eugene, where Indiana came away victorious 30-20. It was a great game then. Defense played a big factor in that game, and I think Indiana has the better defense in this one as well. I like Indiana in this one, coming off that huge win in the Rose Bowl, where they really just dominated an Alabama team that was kind of up and down all year, 38-3, huge win. Oregon also coming off a pretty dominating win. If you look at the score, if you watch the game, it didn't look as dominant as the score showed, but 23-0 Texas Tech, a team that was blowing out teams left and right all season. Other than the one loss, they won by double digits in every single game, put up almost 40 points a game all year. So a very good team there in Texas Tech. Oregon really dominated them, causing turnovers and having dominating defense setting up their offense in good spots there for Oregon. So we'll see how this one goes. This should be another great game here. I like Indiana in this one. I think they have so many weapons on offense. They can pass, they can run. Their defense is very good, especially in the red zone. I think they had the number 1 red zone defense in the country this year. So very good team there. Indiana is favored by 3.5 points in this one. So I'm going to take Indiana in this one. And before I get into the NFL games, I'll go and have a little stat for you guys here. There's only been one other team that has gone 16-0 in one season. Now, take this stat with a little grain of salt because it was Yale in 1894. So I guess we'll count that in 1894. I don't know how their season went, but they won 16 games and won the national championship in 1894. And Indiana, if they go on to win the national championship, they would complete that 16-0 season and be the first team in the modern era to go 16-0 and win the championship, and the only undefeated team to go and win the 12-team playoff. That's how they're getting to 16 wins there. So very interesting, a little bit of history here for Indiana, if they can go and do that. And, I mean, obviously, I think they've already had the best season in Indiana history, but they could make it even better where it's almost unbreakable until we expand the 12-team playoff. So that's pretty interesting. So now we're going to go on to the NFL, which we have a bunch of games this weekend as well as their playoffs start. Should be some great football to watch in the NFL as well. And with college football ending soon, I'm going to keep doing this, keep talking about sports, so I might as well start talking about the NFL, and there's no better time to start than in the playoffs. So we got the first game starting on Saturday at 4:30. We had the Rams versus the Panthers. Panthers pretty surprising team so far this year. They really weren't that good last year. They've turned it around, gone on to win their division this year in the playoffs for the first time in a while. We haven't seen them look like this since, prime MVP Cam Newton, 2015, where they went on to go play in the Super Bowl. They lost that Super Bowl, but they did go to the Super Bowl there. So big moment there for the Panthers. They're playing a good Rams team. Matthew Stafford, possible MVP of the league this year, played at a very, very high level. And people talking about him maybe padding his stats. He has a lot of touchdowns, like from the inside the 5-yard line or something crazy. So a lot of people talk about his stats. We also got Drake May up for MVP, who's also in the playoffs playing this weekend. So we'll see who wins it. I think it should be Matthew Stafford at this point. I think he's had a little bit better of a season. Drake May's kind of relied on improvement from last year. Both those teams have improved a lot. So I'm going to take the Rams in this one. They are heavy favorites at 10.5 points, which is kind of crazy for a playoff game and a Panthers team that has looked very, very good this year. So I'm going to take the Rams, but expect that one to probably be a little bit closer than 10.5. I think 10.5 is a little too far. So we'll see with that. The next game, Saturday, Packers versus the Bears, 7-2. Bears coming in as the 2 seed. Another team that's been very surprising this year and going on winning their division, which is not an easy division to win. They just played really well. I feel like the Packers, on the other hand, have been kind of up and down a little bit this year, not playing at the level they probably could. Jordan Love, all those guys have a very good team, but I just don't think they've played as well as they probably should have. These teams did split the season series at the home and home. Both home teams won this game during the regular season, and I think that continues. I think the Bears go on to win this one. I know they're not typically good in the playoffs or in clutch situations. Date back to that field goal, the triple doink, double doink, or whatever it was in the playoffs. Last time I remember them being in the playoffs, but we know they don't have a very good history in clutch situations, but I like them in this one. Packers have been very up and down. Not exactly sure if they can go and get it done. They did lose at Chicago, which they haven't done in a while. With Aaron Rodgers not being there, it's a little different, but they haven't done that in a while. So a little bit of a surprise. Packers are favored in this one by 1.5 on the road. I do like the Bears to win this one, though. Give me the Bears. Then we got more games on Sunday with the Bills and the Jaguars, 6-3 in the AFC. Bills, Josh Allen, been trying to get to that Super Bowl since he got into the league, has been very successful until he's run into Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson. And so this year you think it's his best chance to get to the Super Bowl. He doesn't have to face any of those teams. All 3 of those guys are not in the playoffs. Mahomes, Lamar, and Joe Burrow, not in the playoffs. He's facing off against Trevor Lawrence, who really hasn't been to the playoffs. They had that one little playoff run with Trevor Lawrence, I believe. And so he hasn't really been to the playoffs. Josh Allen's proved that he can win in the playoffs other than against those 3 guys. So I like the Bills in this one. But a lot of people like Jacksonville. Jacksonville's had a very good year, coming off a terrible year last year. They turned it all the way around. Trevor Lawrence playing at a high level. That team looking very good. And can Josh Allen go into Jacksonville, get a big win, and advance through the playoffs? I think they do it. I think the Bills go into Jacksonville, win this one, and take down Trevor Lawrence and that high-powered offense. Jacksonville is favored 1.5-point home favorites at home. So will be a very tough game. Should be a great game. And I think the Bills go and get the win on the road. So a lot of football coming up this weekend, all throughout the weekend. Should be some great games in the NFL and hopefully college football. We know we haven't had the best college football playoff so far. So hopefully we'll get some more good games, especially the NFL. I think there should be some great games, including this next one, 49ers versus the Eagles. I think this will be a great game. Both teams have a ton of weapons on both sides of the ball. Eagles, Saquon, Jalen Hurts, all the wide receivers they got. 49ers, of course, George Kittle, Brock Purdy, Christian McCaffrey. I mean, a ton of weapons on both sides of the ball for both teams. Should be a good game. I do like Saquon, and it seemed like last year in the playoffs he really took off after having a great season, not really took off, but had a great season and continued it into the playoffs. I expect him to take off a little more in the playoffs here. I expect them to rely on him to get more yards in the playoff, and I think he does in this one. I like the Eagles at home. They're favored by 5.5. I like them at home to take down the 49ers. And then the last game on Sunday, we got back to the AFC. We got the Chargers and the Patriots. Another game that should be really good. Both teams had really good years. Patriots turning it around a lot after only winning 4 games last year. They're now the 2 seed in the AFC. Was fighting for that 1 seed, didn't quite get it, but 2 really great teams here. Ton of weapons. Patriots have running backs, wide receivers, depending on one guy from wide receiver, but MVP possible Drake May at quarterback. So we'll see. Chargers also looked good. Very hard division. They came in second in that division. Their 1 seed is the Broncos, who's also in their division. So very tough division to come out of. They fall all the way down to the 7th seed because the AFC is just unbelievable, and their division was really hard to beat. Broncos had a great year. So should be a great game. Patriots are favored by 3.5 at home. Very tough thing to do is go and win in Gillette in the playoffs. Stadium's going to be loud. It's going to be rowdy. And over under 46.5. It's very hard to beat that team at home. So we take it Sunday night. Patriots, Chargers. We'll see who wins that one. And the last game of the first round in the playoffs on Monday night, Texans versus the Steelers. 2 really good teams as well. Steelers go on win their division week 18 against the Ravens in a crazy finish. And they get home field advantage for winning their division. Texans obviously did not win their division and did not get home field advantage. But they will have to go into Pittsburgh, another tough stadium to play in, as I just said with Gillette. So another tough stadium to play in. And the Texans are favored by 3 points in this one. Should be another great game. Over-under sitting very, very low right now at 38.5. I think it probably will be a pretty low-scoring game, most likely, as well. So we'll see how that goes. I like the experience of Aaron Rodgers. He's been there. He's done this. He's gone all the way to the Super Bowl. He's won Super Bowls. He's done all this stuff. And you're going against C.J. Stroud, who really hasn't had a lot of playoff experience. So I like the experience in this one. I like the Steelers at home taking this one and as an underdog. So that's all the games for this weekend. Starting tonight, Thursday. Got a game tonight, Thursday. Game Friday, college football. Then on Saturday, you got NFL. Sunday, you got more NFL. And Monday, closing out the first round of the NFL playoffs. Should be a great weekend of football. I'm going to watch as many games as I can. Probably most of the games, most likely. And so we'll see what happens in college football. Who goes on to play for the national championship, and the NFL, who goes on to fight for another chance to go and win a Super Bowl in that. So that's all I have for this episode of Sports-Fixx. Thank you for watching. I will see you next time.